festival.
Okay, and I would also think possibly because this time of the year is a time when families are getting together and we are giving, that it just kind of goes along with this season anyway.
Yes, well, I think that you're correct there, and I think that Karinga was very astute in realizing this, that he could capitalize on the interest in families getting together and people sort of turning their attention toward these kinds of things, community activities that were focused on doing good and trying to do things in a collective way and this kind of thing. So certainly he saw that this would be important and thus felt that this would be a good time also to emphasize it.
And I think also, based on what I've read about Kwanzaa, is that unlike Christmas that has become so commercialized and we've kind of lost the meaning of what Christmas is all about, Kwanzaa is more, like I said, family-oriented, and you're giving, but not necessarily material things.
Yeah, in fact, this was one of his emphasis, and sometimes people confuse Kwanzaa with being religious because it seeks to focus on the 7 principles, and those 7 principles are spiritual, but they are not necessarily religious. That is, they transcend religious boundaries and that kind of thing, but sometimes there's some confusion about it.
Okay. Dr. Johnson, we need to take a real quick break here, but we will be talking more about Kwanzaa and the 7 principles and talking about the things that we have here on the set that are symbols of Kwanzaa. We'll be back for the second half of Dialogue after this.
Hey, Joey, I got some stuff you just gotta try. What is it? Pot. You know, marijuana. Oh, well, I don't know. What are you, chicken?
Joey's in a jam. What should he do? Kate.
Get a teacher.
Excellent. Get a pizza. Get real.
Get out of there.
You got it. Let's see if Joey's that smart.
I'm not chicken. You're a turkey.
He's right. Drug dealers are dorks. Don't even talk to them. Cowabunga!
Speaking Out News carries a respective role,
reporting the positive aspects of our community news.
Speaking Out News is most informative and influential.
For social and racial solidarity, providing news and opinions you don't usually get in the other press.
Speaking Out News is a beacon of information,
lighting a path of understanding, igniting a sense of social justice in all Americans.
Pick up a copy from our convenient news rack locations or call for more information. Speaking Out News, a vibrant perspective of African American affairs.
Hi, I'm Gary Dobbs.
And I'm Tony Lowry.
Are you looking for a way to win? Well, have we got a contest for you.
Play Way to Win on Way Too Early and win jewelry, vacations, furniture, concert tickets, dinners, CDs, cassettes, videos, services, and more.
Here's how to enter. Just register at one of the following locations or mail us a card with your name, address, phone number, and birth date.
Then watch Way Too Early weekday mornings, 5:30 to 6.
When we call out your name, call us back to win. It's that easy. Way to Win on Way Too Early. We could call your name next.
Hi, I'm Zachary Ty Bryan from the hit show Home Improvement. Thousands of needy children across the Tennessee Valley need your help to make this Christmas one they'll never forget.
And with your help, we can make this the biggest and best year for Toys for Tots. You can drop off a new unwrapped toy at any of these locations before December 24th.
Make sure they'll have a present to unwrap Christmas morning. Give to Toys for Tots.
Welcome back to the second half of Dialogue. We're talking today about the celebration of Kwanzaa, which is a holiday that is celebrated from December 26th to January 1st each year. And my guest today is Dr. James Johnson, who is a history professor at Alabama A&M University and an individual that's very knowledgeable about the celebration of Kwanzaa. And Dr. Johnson, before the break, we were talking about Kwanzaa and kind of how it relates to Christmas, and we were talking about the commercialism and how that is really not a part of Kwanzaa as much as it is a part of Christmas.
And I said that you're correct, and that was one of the emphasis that Karinga sought to put forth, is that Kwanzaa should not be built around gift giving so much and the material emphasis. However, Kwanzaa does have a place for gifts. The kinds of gifts that are given, however, are cultural gifts or educational gifts. And usually the cultural gifts are things that would reflect some aspect of the culture and reflect some value or some principle that helps to inspire individuals toward the emphasis and the spirit of Kwanzaa.
And oftentimes these gifts are handmade, aren't they?
Yes, but and sometimes they're not. And in terms of the educational gifts, of course, you know, that can be a book, it can be poetry, it can be some story or something that has been written that will help to increase the knowledge of the individual about their culture, about history. So those are the two main type of gifts that are emphasized for Kwanzaa, even though other gifts may be given. But with that emphasis and with the emphasis being on the 7 principles, then you have a different kind of emphasis. But let me quickly add that, of course, with Kwanzaa growing and expanding over the last years, in fact, I guess around 1983, 84, around that time, it was said that about 10 million people were celebrating Kwanzaa. Since then, the estimate, and this was even given by some of the larger companies that are into greeting cards and that kind of thing, even Hallmark. In fact, Hallmark has come out and said that they're going to come out with a line of Kwanzaa greeting cards. And I think they estimated that the people celebrating Kwanzaa was about 15 to 18 million. And so that's quite a few people that are celebrating Kwanzaa at that time, at this time. And the interesting thing about this is that Kwanzaa, however, grew on its own within the black community, on the part of small groups, without media publicity. It was after Kwanzaa had grown and became rooted in the community that the media began to come in on it. And so as a result of this, we see that some of the same commercialism, you know, that is associated with Christmas, is also coming into Kwanzaa. Individuals who are interested in selling some of the things that go along with Kwanzaa, the symbols and other things, they see that this is an opportunity to sell, money, so that you know, everyone that's in it is not in it simply because of the value of the holiday and because they really see the kind of positive benefits that will come from it in terms of ethical and spiritual emphasis, but they see it as a market as well.
Let's talk about the 7 principles, and while we're talking about the principles, kind of incorporate some of the symbols. A couple of things you have with you today that we have on the set.
Well, of course, what we have here is just the 2 main symbols of Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa has at least what some would say is 7 symbols. One is a mat that is referred to as the mkeka, and that
like a woven straw mat.
Right, and it's usually underneath the kanara.
The kanara is the
candle holder, and then the mishuma, which is referring to the 7 candles, and then is the kikumbe, which is a cup, which is a unity cup, and so that you can see that the 3 things that we have here then would be the kanara, the 7 candles, and the unity cup.
Okay, and then what is the significance of the different color candles?
Okay, let me just sort of just mention just quickly the other things that go with the symbol. You would have also ears of corn, and usually it's at least 1 or 2 ears of corn. that sort of represents children or the future.
Okay.
And you often have fruit, a basket of fruit that represents the collective achievements or the labor of the community. And then finally, you often will have some art piece, and as we said, that even a gift usually represent some aspect of the culture, and so that art piece sort of represents that same thing, and so that sometimes the zawaida, which is the gift that you give to children, is sometimes referred to as a seventh sort of symbol that goes along with the items that you include in Kwanzaa. But going back then to the candles, you have the candles, 7 candles, and they are red, black, and green, and they represent the traditional colors that were introduced to the black community by Marcus Garvey back in the 1930s, that emphasized liberation, emphasized unity, and so these colors have been incorporated then into Kwanzaa because they are emphasizing sort of a historic kind of values that are associated with the black community and with African American heritage and culture. The red, the black candle, as you see, is the center candle, and it stands for unity, for the principle of umoja, which is the first of the 7 principles.
Okay. So that's the one that's celebrated on the first day.
On the first day, right. And then you have the other 6 candles. Red, the red candle stands for struggle. The green candles stand for hope and future, our future and promise, and so that the colors in themselves are very important. But then as you take each candle representing the 7 principles, Umoja being the first, then Kujichagulia being the second one, representing the concept of self-determination, the third, Ujima, representing collective work and responsibility, the fourth, Ujama, representing cooperative economics, that is shared wealth, and then the fifth being Nia, representing purpose, that each individual should have a personal purpose in life, but that purpose should be tied to a greater purpose in which they serve their community and the society and the world. Then the sixth principle, Kuumba, meaning creativity, emphasizing that we should use our energies to be constructive as opposed to destructive. And then the last being Imani, which means faith, drawing on the best in our tradition and the best in ourselves, and believing in our own self-worth, and believing also that we can succeed and triumph in our struggle.
Okay.
And so that's what the 7 candles represent.
And of course, we can say that each of those 7 principles are things that we should carry with us throughout the year. I mean, we shouldn't just think about them at this time of the year.
In fact, that is the emphasis, even though Kwanzaa is set aside to sort of celebrate first who we are, to celebrate ourselves, but also to reaffirm the values that come out of our culture that are positive and that inspire us to worthy goals. And then, of course, it is an emphasis on reevaluation, reevaluating our actions and our behavior. In fact, sort of the thrust of the 7 principles is identity, purpose, and direction. And so that if you think of those 3 things in connection with the 7 principles, you should always be attempting to look at how you view yourself and how you should go about either redefining who you are, and to bring that in line with the principles, your purpose, what is your real purpose in life, and what direction are you moving in, which means actions and behavior. And so certainly it's not something that you do once a year. And I would also add that Kwanzaa is something that is celebrated in the home as well as in the community. And the emphasis on it being celebrated in the home means that it should be something that is valued by the family and individuals in the family throughout the year, and not just during
one time of the year. We've got a couple of minutes left, Dr. Johnson, and before we leave, you brought a couple of books that we have that you can purchase in local bookstores that I want to show our audience in case you're interested in holding a Kwanzaa celebration at your homes. One of them is the African American holiday of Kwanzaa that is written by Mr. Karenga, and the other one is Kwanzaa, Everything You Always Wanted to Know but Didn't Know Where to Ask. And they're very inexpensive books, but they're chock full of information. Dr. Johnson, in about the minute or so that we have left, what can we as a community do to make more people aware of Kwanzaa and the significance that it holds?
Okay, first, it has been growing, in fact. Now, since 1980, I, along with just a few other people, began to try to promote Kwanzaa. And this past year, we perhaps had our most extensive effort to promote Kwanzaa. And so the Ujamaa Society, that is a loosely organized group of individuals who attempt to plan what we call pre-Kwanzaa activities every year from September up to about the middle of December to make people more aware of Kwanzaa. And so people can listen for information about that. They can get involved with some of these workshops and get information.
Thanks again for being with us today. I've certainly learned a lot, and I know that our audience has. Thank you for being with us. Have a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful Kwanzaa, and we'll see you next Sunday for another edition of Dialogue.
Live from Huntsville's only 24-hour news source, this is 31 News on the Hour.
It's cloudy and 40 in Russellville. Hello, I'm Stephen Dale. Children whose parents die with AIDS will now get help finding new families. Children's AIDS Society and Birmingham AIDS Outreach will team up to find adoptive homes for the children. The new program will begin in January with 15 families participating. More news in 30 minutes from your 24-hour news source.
When you want to know the gritty details.
Now the latest on the Michael Jackson investigation. After 2 concerts and a visit to
when you want to see what no one else will show you.
She was a beautiful cheerleader who had everything to live for. Now an entire town is mourning over her senseless...
When you want to hear what people will be talking about tomorrow.
And then trading cards. Check out these vital statistics.
Hard copy. Weeknights at 6:30 only on Channel 31.
Is this something we need to go to air with right now? Okay, it is.
The 31 Shoals Bureau. Sean Bracey and Alicia Smith.
Extremely dangerous situation.
The first on the scene.
Here in the Shoals area now.
The most experienced and trusted team in the Shoals.
To show people as they actually went in.
Here we go.
Depend on the most watched Shoals team.
This is always a pretty bad wreck, 10 to 8.
Sean Bracey and Alicia Smith on Channel 31, your 24-hour news source.
Goodbye. It was almost goodbye.
Hello, Huntsville. I'm Mark Chestnut. And this holiday season, let's all work together to make it the best ever for our children. Please don't drink and drive. Always buckle up. And from me and all the guys in the band, happy holidays.
Sometimes the most important words are the ones that you leave unspoken.
Thank you for watching Channel 31, your only 24-hour news and sports source.
This week's Siskel and Ebert review, Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington exposing a shadowy conspiracy in The Pelican Brief. Denzel Washington also co-stars with Tom Hanks in the courtroom drama Philadelphia. And Charles Grodin's puppy problems are multiplied in Beethoven's Second.
Law student Julia Roberts joins Washington newspaper reporter Denzel Washington in a race to unmask the killers of 2 Supreme Court justices in the Pelican Brief. One of 5 big new holiday movies we'll be reviewing this week on Siskel and Ebert, including pictures starring Tom Hanks, Johnny Depp, Robert Duvall, and a St. Bernard. Season screenings, everyone. I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune.
And I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Our first movie is The Pelican Brief, based on the best-selling thriller by John Grisham, and it marks the return of superstar Julia Roberts to the screen after a 2-year absence. She plays a New Orleans law student whose research turns up a conspiracy behind the murders of 2 Supreme Court justices, and suddenly she finds herself a murder target too.
Did you get into my apartment okay? Your computer's gone. So are your floppy disks. So are your red expandable files.
She turns for help to the FBI, and then, fearing she can trust almost no one, calls an investigative reporter on a Washington newspaper played by Denzel Washington.
If this thing reaches as deep and goes as high as we think it does, these men will do anything not to be exposed. Where can you hide?
The movie was directed by Alan J. Pakula, who also made All the President's Men, and here he recycles the relationship between a reporter who thinks he's onto a great story and an editor who remains a skeptic. John Lithgow plays the boss.
I thought of dropping you into the ranks of the unemployed. I know damn well you'd slap me with a discrimination
She's
suit.
here.
Bird girl?
Is here.
You could have told me on the phone.
That wouldn't have been wise.
And by the way, refusing to tell me where you could be reached did not exactly leave a good impression.
Meanwhile, the scandal reaches inside the Oval Office, where the president, played by Robert Culp as a smiling simpleton, is handed some very bad news by his chief of staff, the sinister Tony Goldwyn.
I think you should ask Kaminsky to have CIA investigate. The second we confirm that this thing is garbage, you can ask Foyles to back off.
It's domestic. Well, the CIA can't go nosing around. It's illegal.
Mm-hmm. Technically.
The Pelican Brief is well acted and skillfully directed, and it does a good job of creating suspense through its claustrophobic plot structure. The Julia Roberts character feels trapped and under observation everywhere she goes, and under pressure, she and Denzel Washington's newspaperman manage to stay one jump ahead of assassination. But the explanation for the Pelican Brief itself, the theory that she has come up with, is both too complicated and not very interesting, involving still another corrupt oil billionaire and still another White House conspiracy. This stuff has been used countless times before, and John Grisham is simply shuffling an old deck. What I liked about the movie, enough to recommend it, was the chemistry between Roberts and Washington, and the way Pakula is able to create suspense out of thin air and a little ominous music.
I didn't care for the picture, Roger, in addition to the payoff, which you say really isn't very exciting in terms of the suspense or the mystery of the story, and it surely isn't. I didn't think that Julia Roberts was very convincing. Denzel Washington, well, he's about as charismatic as you get, but boy, I thought she was really flat. Sort of the idea that this law student is going to, you know, figure this thing out is just preposterous to begin with, I think. And then I just didn't feel the chemistry between them. And when you mentioned...
Oh, I feel there really is chemistry, real chemistry between them.
When you mention All the President's Men, and I would have thought of that even if Pakula hadn't directed it, boy, it's just night and day.
It's not
anywhere
near All the President's Men, and I'll tell you this, I feel that John Grisham, if there is an overrated writer in America today, it is Grisham, because he sells millions of copies, and these plots are not interesting.
No, it's not
and
at
really,
all.
most of the characters' dialogue is just at the service of the plot, but what happens here with Pakula is a good enough director that he's able to take this material and make it work while the movie is playing.
I don't think it, I'll tell you, it reminded me of All the President's Men light. It's just a light version. The president is a simpleton, is absolutely right. It's never really threatening. It's all made up all the way through. Okay, next film, and it's Beethoven's Second. And I really enjoyed the first film in the series, but the sequel is nothing special, save for some cute St. Bernard puppies and, sad to say, a wildly inappropriate scene. More about that in a second. The story is ripped off right from 101 Dalmatians, beginning with this cute scene where the manly hero of the first film, known as Beethoven, spots a girl St. Bernard in the park. So far, so sweet.
Well, you know this guy?
The canine couple produces 4 puppies that the Newton family kids hide in their basement away from Dad Charles Grodin, who didn't want the original St. Bernard Beethoven in the first place.
You know, just a few days to get away.
Are those sounds coming from outside or in the basement?
Outside.
The bad guy is a woman, obviously based on Cruella de Vil from 101 Dalmatians.
Look, what do you want to take Missy for, huh? You hate dogs. You hate all living things.
Look, this is not about animals, it's about alimony. And since I got the court order, the dog stays with me in the apartment until we negotiate our little divorce.
Yes, divorce is an issue in the film, but a subject that I didn't expect to come up was potential sexual assault. That's right, there's a scene in this picture where a teenage boy locks the Newton family's teenage daughter in a bedroom and says, "This is going to be great. Try explaining to your kid what the this is in that sentence." Beethoven saves the day, but be prepared for dealing with it with your little ones. And what's the point of that scene? Are they that desperate in Hollywood? Is that supposed to help market the films to teens? You know, hey kids, there's something in it for you too. You teenagers, you're gonna...
Date rape.
Yeah, date rape. Hey, there's a good subject for you. Beethoven Second is a little kid's movie, and that scene has no place in an otherwise innocuous film. Thumbs down for me, and I'm also shaking my head.
Yeah, thumbs down for me, too. And in addition to the obviously inappropriate scene that you talked about, another thing that bothered me was that the level of comedy isn't as high. I thought the last movie, which was no masterpiece,
But it was
I gave
cute.
that thumbs down, too, but it was a lot
cute.
better than this
I
one.
liked it.
It was about the family and about Charles Grodin, who was a superb comic actor who doesn't want this dog in the house. Now we have a situation where basically he's gotten around to the point where he likes the dog and even sort of likes the puppies, and then you have these two heavies that come in, and they're dog nappers, and the humor is gone.
Bonnie Hunt also was very appealing. You had a real couple there, a real specific family, and they didn't write those scenes.
When we come back, Tom Hanks is dying of AIDS, and Denzel Washington plays his attorney in Philadelphia.
From the day they hired me to the day I was fired, I served my clients consistently, thoroughly, with absolute excellence. If they hadn't fired me, that's what I'd be doing today.
There's a perfect wine for every occasion. This afternoon, John has chosen a Chardonnay from the cellars of Ernest and Julio Gallo, two men who spent over half a century perfecting their art. What could be more perfect? Well, almost perfect. The Chardonnay of Ernest and Julio Gallo.
This holiday season, give your family something really special. Give them Walt Disney's Pinocchio.
I think it's swell.
It's a perfect holiday gift. I'm not just giving a video, I'm giving magic.
Someday, I'm gonna be a real boy.
When you give a gift of a Disney classic, you're not just giving a movie to somebody. You're giving something that lasts a lifetime.
Don't miss this chance to bring home Disney's greatest classic.
You gotta get it while it's still available.
For the holidays, give your family Walt Disney's Pinocchio on video cassette.
Unforgettable in every way.
And forevermore.
And forevermore.
That's how you'll stay.
That's how you'll stay.
Who's the Boss? Weekdays at 3 on Channel 31. An unforgettable half hour. It's frightening when severe weather is headed your way and you don't know exactly when it's going to hit or how bad it's going to be. At Channel 31, we understand you need to know instantly, and you will with the 31 First Warning System. It displays information from the National Weather Service automatically on your screen. And the 31 Storm Tracker can tell you exactly where the storm is and when it will hit your neighborhood. 31 First Warning and 31 Storm Tracker on your 24-hour news source. 31 Weather. More weather, more often.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet, Andy. Congratulations.
Oh, thanks. I'm overwhelmed.
What's that in your forehead, pal?
What, where?
That, right there in your forehead.
A senior partner in his law firm notices a telltale mark on the forehead of a lawyer played by Tom Hanks there in that scene from Jonathan Demme's new film, Philadelphia. The senior man guesses correctly that it's Kaposi sarcoma, a skin disease associated with AIDS, and suddenly Hanks is fired from the firm where he thought he was highly regarded.
Some people think you have an attitude problem, Beckett.
Really? Who thinks that?
I do.
This is, of course, blatant discrimination, and when his old law partners start pretending he was incompetent, Hanks decides to sue. Most of the law firms in Philadelphia won't take his case. They don't want to make powerful enemies. But Hanks finally finds a lawyer who will represent him. He's played by Denzel Washington as the kind of flashy personal injury expert who advertises on television.
I misplaced an important complaint. That's their story. Want to hear mine?
How many lawyers you go to before you call me?
9.
It's a cliche in AIDS stories that the patient's family is intolerant and bigoted, but it's a cliche this movie avoids, as in this scene where the dying man and his lover, played by Antonio Banderas, are at home with Hanks's family. Joan Woodward plays the mother, and her speech to her son is one of the movie's quietest but most effective moments.
I didn't raise my kids to sit in the back of the bus. You get in there and you fight for your rights, okay?
Mary Steenburgen plays the defense attorney for the law firm, which claims Hanks couldn't have been fired for having AIDS because he kept it a secret. Hanks makes his own most effective witness.
What I love the most about the law? Yes. Is that every now and again, not often, but occasionally, you get to be a part of justice being done.
Philadelphia is being billed as Hollywood's first movie about AIDS with a big budget and big stars. Tom Hanks is very good in this movie, embodying all the humanity of the character without resorting to tear-jerking tricks, and I think he's sure to get an Oscar nomination. But the screenplay itself, I think, could have been a little better. Somehow, once the story gets into the courtroom, the truth and spontaneity of the earlier scenes gets absorbed into the old and familiar patterns of courtroom drama. Still, it's a powerful film.
I had the exact same reaction as you, that Hanks's character is compelling, but the courtroom story is really sort of hack. And it's a shame that he's put through it. I do recommend the film for one thing that Jonathan Demme does. I think if there's a visual strategy and image to this film, it's Demme saying, let's look at AIDS in close-up. Here are the sores. Look at me. Because I think that what AIDS victims must feel, among many other things, obviously they're going to die, is that people won't look at them. They won't even acknowledge them. And so his camera is used to pan down the face, pan down the body. Here it is. Look at it. Look at it. I'm a human being, and that's the strength of the film.
That whole part of the film, and I'm serious when I said that Joan Woodward, who's on the screen very briefly, has 2 moments of incredible power. The part involving his family, the part involving his lover, the part involving the way he's treated by people is so much more important than just the structure of the courtroom. Who's going to win the case?
Yes.
We don't really care, or we know,
we know,
still
yeah,
don't
we,
care.
we know, and the arguments are with the exception of a couple of big speeches, seemingly impromptu speeches by Denzel Washington. Other than that,
there's one nice touch, and that's when the Mary Steenburgen character whispers to her colleague, "I hate this case."
Yeah. Coming up next, an oddball story with an oddball title. Johnny Depp stars in the family drama What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
It's a full house.
No.
But everyone's welcome.
You did not say that Scruffy was a pig.
You didn't ask.
It's a place to kick your shoes off.
Put that shoe on before you set off the smoke alarm.
Enjoy the peace and quiet. And just be yourself. So drop by.
Works for me.
Because there's always room for one more
It's a Tanner family tradition.
on Full House.
Picture this. And this. And this. More pictures, more often. 31 News.
Turn on your breakfast. Turn on your day. You're the one that's gonna make it. Look at your work. Look at your play. Be your best every day. Have fun. Just do it your way. Turn it on. Turn on the breakfast. Turn it on. Now don't you know? You're the one that's gonna make it. Look at your move. Look at your go. Turn it on.
Dora. It's a town where nothing much ever happens.
This is where I live with my family. Doctor said we'd be lucky if Arnie lived to be 10.
Johnny Depp is Gilbert Grape, the head of the Grape household. His father is dead. A family trying to get by while coping with some of the oddest problems you've seen in a movie in a long time. And let me confess right away that I love What's Eating Gilbert Grape. It's one of the year's best films, I think. Gilbert is challenged first and foremost by his mentally handicapped brother, Arnie, played beautifully by Leonardo DiCaprio.
6 days is my part, and I'm coming keen. I'm 18, and you're not invited.
Arnie, don't be rude.
Oh, it's okay.
That woman in the pickup truck is played by the inventive young actress Juliette Lewis. She's just passing through town and maybe through Gilbert's life.
That's the house. It's really amazing. I mean, how small it looks from here, considering the girth of what's inside of it.
He's referring mockingly to his obese mom, played memorably by Darlene Cates. When have you ever seen a fat person in the movies treated with such complexity?
I never meant to be like this. I never wanted to be a joke.
You get a sense of the oddity of this film. What's Eating Gilbert Grape is better than any contemporary rural slice-of-life picture I can think of. It was directed by the fine Swedish director Lasse Hallström, known for his offbeat comedies My Life as a Dog and Once Around with Richard Dreyfuss. This story is based on the novel by Peter Hedges, who also wrote the screenplay, and he and Hallström create memorable characters, spin them in fresh ways so that you know these people very well and care about them very much when the film is over. I strongly recommend What's Eating Gilbert Grape.
You know, one of the things I like best about the picture is the very true way in which they show the town people relating to this family, which is obviously an odd family that lives outside of town. They have one son who's always climbing the water tower, and then a mother who never leaves the house, probably can't get through the door. And then Gilbert Grape trying to hold everything together and not sure if he can, you know, trust himself to have a love relationship with Juliette Lewis because he has all these responsibilities at home.
Is there enough left in him to love someone who obviously loves him, and he's got his love played out in different arenas? It's a very special
actors, Johnny Depp, who was so good in Benny and June earlier this year, Juliette Lewis, who was so good in California earlier this year, are now two more good performances, indicating that they're really people to keep your eye on. When we come back, Robert Duvall and Richard Harris are two old men living one day at a time in Wrestling Ernest Hemingway.
I'm 80 years old. If you don't stop peddling, I'll die before we get there.
Oh, champagne.
No, it's something everyone will like.
Just one sip.
Mistletoe.
No, Bellatori.
Bella what?
I don't like champagne.
You'll like this. Sparkling, delicious. You'll say no champagne tastes like Bellatori.
Was this your idea? No, but I wish it was.
How's it spelled?
B-A-L-L.
Bellatori.
This tastes better than champagne.
Gentlemen, our attempts to stop the Energizer Bunny have failed. We've got to get his battery. And to do it, we need somebody big. 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 Ah! It's the end of the road, Mr. Energizer Bunny.
Our next movie is named Wrestling Ernest Hemingway, and it's a sweet, warm-hearted movie about a friendship between two old men who would seem to be complete opposites. One is a retired sea captain, played by Richard Harris, and the other is a retired barber from Cuba, played here by Robert Duvall, although you have to look closely to recognize him. Their daily ritual includes a visit to a coffee shop where Duvall harbors a not-so-secret crush on the waitress, played by Sandra Bullock.
You know, you're breaking my heart sitting here in Bernice's section when there's a table opened up in mine.
Yes.
If the Duvall character is shy and courtly around women, the Harris character is always on the make. One of his targets is a woman he often runs into at the movies, played by Piper Laurie. And his other target is the manager of his residential hotel, played by Shirley MacLaine.
Two old Irish dogs should not be barking at each other.
It's nice, Joyce, only I ain't Irish.
Cooney. What the hell kind of a name is Cooney if it ain't Irish?
That husband I had, he was Irish. He left. I got stuck with the name.
Harris has a fine bravura in the film, and Duvall provides a counterpoint with his quiet, delicate, good manners, as in this scene where he goes to say goodbye to the waitress.
Why don't you come inside?
Oh, I have to go back.
Well, you just got here.
Yeah.
How did you get here?
Well, Frankie let me use his bike.
You came all this way on that?
Yes. It wasn't hard. I'm in good shape.
Ernest Hemingway was a writer known for romanticizing macho behavior while at the same time battling the demons of loneliness, insecurity, and approaching old age. And in a low-key way, both of these men are wrestling with some of the same problems. They are old, they have been sidelined, they are forgotten by friends and family, but they have a pride and a will to live life to its fullest, and when they form their unlikely friendship, they're able to see that more clearly. Wrestling Ernest Hemingway is a sentimental movie, yes, but it's unashamedly sentimental and very touching.
I like the individual performances very much. And Duvall, you know, within the acting community, they all respect him tremendously. And I think if people see this performance, they'll see that. At the same time, I don't know, I didn't make the connections maybe that you did, but I didn't feel that this story took them in other than a very predictable ways that suddenly these seeming opposites are going to find each other because they're both lonely. And I guess what I would have liked to have seen, I don't know what I want to see them do in this picture, but it seemed like a march right to a very specific ending.
They've really gotten to the point where they're not going to do anything. If you had them doing something like maybe they wanted to sail their boat to Cuba again or something like that, it would have been really cliche. The fact is,
it's cliche
these are people who live their lives in rented rooms and on park benches and in diners, and they find a friendship that helps them enrich their lonely lives a little bit, and that's all it's about.
That's a little cliched at the end. That's my point, Roger. I wish I would, maybe if they sort of went their separate ways.
So you're not recommending it?
I'm recommending the performances, not the film.
Okay, well, you're going to have to see the film, though, to
that's true.
Enjoy those performances. Coming up next, our video pick of the week, another film starring Denzel Washington, who seems to be everywhere at the movies these days.
Casual clothes for the family. They're even more comfortable when you see the price.
I'm so weak and cold. All my powers are drained. I can't go on. What's this? Something warm. I feel the strength returning to my body. It's a miracle.
A miracle. I feel like myself again.
A hot lunch with Campbell's bean with bacon soup is a good source of protein and iron.
Now I can go save the world.
Re-energize your kids with Campbell's.
Campbell's. 31 News at 6 means more news that's important to you.
That's right, Heather. We're live at one Huntsville school where officials say...
More local reports from Huntsville's #1 anchor team.
I think it's more,
more in-depth coverage of the day's big stories.
It was expected to last at least 2 weeks.
31 News at 6 with Heather Burns and Dawn Phelps on Huntsville's only 24-hour news source. 31 News, more often.
Christmas is a special time for children. That's why the U.S. Marines, Channel 31, and Landmark Chevrolet are joining forces this holiday season with Toys for Tots.
The Marines have sponsored the Toys for Tots program for over 4 decades, making Christmas bright for less fortunate children.
You can put a smile on a child's face Christmas morning by dropping off a new, unwrapped toy at any of these locations.
Get into the holiday spirit. Give to Toys for Tots from Channel 31, Landmark Chevrolet, and the U.S. Marines.
The Century Plaza, offering the finest in luxury service and Southern California style, adjacent to Beverly Hills on L.A.'s fashionable West Side, the Century Plaza Hotel and Tower.
And now for our home video pick of the week, starring Denzel Washington, the star of The Pelican Brief and Philadelphia, who has become one of our most charismatic leading men. But this comes as no surprise to us because Roger and I targeted him for big stardom the first time we saw him in a leading role in the Jamaican detective story, The Mighty Quinn. He plays a policeman in search of an alleged criminal, his boyhood pal, played by Robert Townsend.
What are you smiling about?
The uniform man. You look great. Where you been? Parade.
Wedding.
The
Mighty Quinn was made in 1989. If you've never seen it, it's a marvelous film, upbeat and funky and romantic, and it launched the career of Denzel Washington. The Mighty Quinn, our video pick of the week. Now let's recap the movies we reviewed on this show. A split vote on the thriller The Pelican Brief with Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington. Roger thought the performances carried the convoluted story. I wasn't impressed and didn't care, frankly, if anyone was caught. 2 thumbs down for Beethoven's Second, a lackluster sequel featuring a familiar story, one inappropriate scene, not much of Charles Grodin, just a lot of cute St. Bernard puppies. 2 thumbs up for Jonathan Demme's AIDS drama Philadelphia, with a great performance by Tom Hanks, undercut only by a standard courtroom melodrama. The film opens Wednesday in New York, LA, and Toronto, then in the rest of the country in January. 2 thumbs up, way up for What's Eating Gilbert Grape by world-class Swedish director Lasse Hallström. Johnny Depp stars in a family drama packed with one unforgettable character after another. And finally, a split vote on Wrestling Ernest Hemingway. Roger enjoyed it more than I did. I felt let down by a script that didn't do enough to support the fine performances by Richard Harris and Robert Duvall. So What's Eating Gilbert Grape is the picture I guess we like the most this week.
That's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with more big holiday movies, including Heaven and Earth, starring Hep T. Lee as a Vietnamese woman who somehow survives the war and marries an American soldier, played by Tommy Lee Jones. And also In the Name of the Father, with Daniel Day-Lewis as a man framed for murder and Emma Thompson as the attorney who believes he's innocent. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.
Ladies, for close, smooth shaves in or out of the shower, the Lady Remington Wet Dry. Rechargeable or battery-operated Lady Remington Wet Dry. It's America's favorite jelly bean, Jelly Belly. Now in new 20 and 40 flavor gift boxes, the original gourmet jelly bean, Jelly Belly. Vicks Vapor Inhaler for fast, effective relief of nasal congestion. Easy to carry and easy to use anytime, anywhere. Take a breather with a Vicks Vapor Inhaler. Stefano International Jeans in Junior, Mrs., Plus, girls, and men's sizes. Available at over 1,300 Fashion Bug stores coast to coast. Fashion Bug fits your life.
Regis and Kathy Lee are getting ready for the holidays with some terrific guests this week on Live. Husband and wife team Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee. Teen heartthrob Brian Austin Green from Beverly Hills 90210. And pop star Bruce Hornsby.
Like to make you shake and shiver.
We'll also welcome Fran Drescher, the funniest nanny on television. On Friday, it's a very special Christmas Eve show, complete with Santa and his elves.